Amigos, familia, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estamos? Bienvenidos a Cambio de Agujas. Por primera vez en la vida desde Singapur, tenemos a nuestra hoy maquinista, Verónica. Verónica, bienvenida a Cambio de Agujas. ¡Qué alegría!
Thank you, Christina, for inviting.
¿Puedes presentarte un poco? Porque, a ver, es evidente que los rasgos que tienes no son europeos. Dinos un poco de dónde eres.
Yeah, sure, Christina. My name is Veronica. I'm a nurse by profession. I'm a mother of 3 children. My older boy, Aaron, 25. My daughter, Emilia, 23. And I have another younger son, Alaric, 20 years old.
Háblanos un poco de Singapur, porque, bueno, igual la gente que nos ve no sabe si es un país católico o no.
Okay, Singapore is a multi-racial, multi-religious country. It's a very small island in Asia, and we have about 5 million people, but we only have about 300,000 Catholics in Singapore.
¿En qué fe has sido criada, Verónica?
Okay, Singapore is multi-religious, and I grew up in a Taoist family. 3-generation Taoist family, and my mom used to bring me to the temple to pray to the deities. We have many Chinese deities that she'll bring me to the temple.
Cuando dices que tu madre te llevaba al templo, ¿de qué clase de templo estamos hablando? ¿Católico? ¿Taoísta? ¿Qué tipo de fe?
Yes, it's a Taoist faith. Taoist, a lot of Chinese actually pray to all these deities. In Chinese, we call Tope Kong, Guan Yin, different kind of deities. They protect different part of our life. And every day we have to pray, burn our joss sticks and burn incense paper. So I was used to that kind of upbringing.
¿Cómo pasas de una fe taoísta a una fe católica? ¿Cómo es la entrada del Señor en tu vida? ¿Cómo entra?
Okay, what happened was I entered nursing after my high school, and when I entered nursing, I went to stay in a hostel. So I actually go back only during my holiday. So when I was staying in a hostel, my roommate happened to be a Catholic, and I was inspired by her simplicity, by the way she prayed, and she was saying her rosary. So it was like, okay, then she introduced me to a sister who is a Carmelite nun, and also she has another sister who is with Missionary of Charity, with Mother Teresa of Calcutta. And so one day she actually brought me to visit her sister in Taiwan at the Missionary of Charity home. And I was very inspired by the work they were doing in Taiwan at that time. And also I was helping out with the Little Sisters of the Poor as a volunteer there. And that was the time when I saw a lot of nuns who are working to take care of old people in the aging community. Yeah, and also I happened to have a patient who was actually almost died of heart attack, but we managed to resuscitate her, and when she came back alive, every day she invited me to her house, and she was doing all these holy pictures for a living. So every of my off day, I will help her to make decoupage, and I see holy pictures every day. Mother Mary, Jesus, Saint Veronica, the Jesus carried the lamb. Every day I was looking at holy pictures. Until one day, there was one of my student nursing friend, and in the evening, it was dinner time, and from the hospital, it was walking distance to a church. In Singapore, we call that the Novena Church. And she actually invited me to go and attend a novena service. So I said, what is this novena service? She said, oh, come and join me, So I went with her. And happened that on that day, it was so packed. The whole church was so packed. I have to stand so far outside the church, but it has a big microphone there, or a speaker there. And Father Simon Pereira was giving a homily at that time. And the homily touched me immediately. It was like, I could still remember, back in 1990, or back in 1989, yeah. And the homily was saying that there is a door, and the door only has one knob, and the knob is only inside. There is no knob outside. So this door can only be opened from inside. the longer you don't open the door, the more the darkness will fill your heart, and you will always be in darkness inside your house. So, and then he said, the more you don't open, the more the creeper will grow outside the door, and the harder it is for you to open the door. So it kept me thinking, you know, why he keep talking about this door with only one doorknob. And then finally I realized that it is actually the door of our heart, that we can only open from inside. The moment we open, that's where the light start coming in. Otherwise, we are always living in darkness without knowing. So it was interesting. I went back, I pondered about it, and then while doing all this decoupage, one day I went to the Carmelite nun. I asked her, you know, where should I go to a church, you know, a Catholic church? Which church should I go to? In Singapore, we have 20 over churches. So she said, oh, you are staying at this area, you should go to Our Lady of Queen of Peace. So I said, oh, okay, where is Our Lady of Queen of Peace, you know? So she gave me the address. I went to find my way there. And then when I look at the Our Lady of Queen of Peace Church, somehow I don't know, I did not really walk into the church. Then I walked further down. Further down, just maybe about half an hour walk, there is another church called Holy Family Church. So when I went to the Holy Family Church, I saw the Mother Mary with Saint Joseph, with Child Jesus. I just felt like a sense of belonging there, and I walked into the church. I went to see the priest. I went to attend the catechism class. I went to sign up for catechism class, and that's where I went through a 15-month journey of RCIA. And after 15 months, I realized that I was not ready, so I actually backed out. I did not go ahead with the baptism until I met my current husband. And I actually invited him to join me for another journey. And that's where I went to the Holy Family Church again and attended the same RCIA one more time, a second time. And then during the scrutiny, he actually backed out, but I went ahead with the baptism. And at that time, I asked my mom permission, and she said, well, you are so big already, it's really up to you, you know. So she gave me her blessing, and I went ahead with the baptism. So in my family, I'm the only Catholics, and in my husband's family, I'm also the only Catholic. Yeah, so I just, but the wedding, I insisted on the church wedding, so we got married in the Holy Family Church.
Siendo la única católica en tu familia, Verónica, supongo que haya habido tensiones, porque, a ver, diferentes costumbres, diferentes fiestas, diferentes momentos de reunión. ¿Esto ha sido duro para ti? ¿Estas tensiones? ¿Esto ha sido una batalla?
No.
¿Qué es lo que te ha fortalecido?
Yeah. Okay, for me, when I was a Taoist together with my mom, it was just obedience. Follow her to the temple, and she say, oh, 3 joss stick, I pray 3 joss stick, 5 joss stick, I pray 5 joss stick. She said, burn this paper, I just burn this paper. But I don't really know what is the meaning behind it, and I just follow because it's a tradition that is 3 generations passed down. So I just follow, out of obedience. So when I got to know the Carmelite nuns and the missionary charity, I saw the peace in them is so different from my mom, from my family, because my family side is like they are always talking about money, they are always talking about materialistic thing, whereas the Carmelite nuns, they are always so happy, they are always so cheerful. Every time I go and visit her, she's always peace, you know. It's so different. So I felt the peace in her transmitting to me that I want to find out more. Yeah. So after I went through the catechism, I got to know more about the truth, and I tell myself that this is the way to go, and whether anybody believes, it's really up to me. Mm-hmm. So I make my own decision, and I make my own choice, and I went ahead.
¿Cómo tratas de llevar tu fe católica a los demás? Porque de por sí el cristiano ya es un apóstol y Cristo nos da el Espíritu Santo. ¿Cómo llevas esto a tu vida cotidiana?
So I got baptized in 1990 December during Christmas, and then February the 2nd the next year, 1991, I got married in church. So just being married in church, my mom was the first time she entered church. Yeah, my dad was the first time she entered church, and he actually held my hand into the church, walked through the aisle. And my husband family, they were the first time entering church as well. So it was a big evangelization right from the beginning of our marriage. So that was good. I told my husband, the rest of the things are not important. All the dinner and all that is not important, but the church wedding is important. Yeah, so we went through that. And after we got married, and then the elder boy was born, and I brought him to church when he was a baby. But because my husband, he's not baptized, he was not baptized yet, so he did not agree for me to baptize the children. So we went ahead, living our daily lives without the children being baptized. And I still went to church until they were toddlers, and they choose to follow my husband, and they didn't want to go to church with me, so I just went alone myself. Now what happened at home was also, he has a deity, I have a crucifix, and then every day we fight. So there was a lot of spiritual warfare happening at home without we knowing it. And so we went on, and every time when there was a big argument, I went into Cold War. I cannot talk, and I went to the priest. I go for confession, and the priest will always ask me, how many years have you got married? I say, 5 years. So St. Monica prayed for 33 years. So continue to pray. I say, okay. So went home, continue, year after year. Until finally, 15 years later, my husband encountered the Lord Jesus in a church called Our Lady of Perpetual Succor. And that's where he also attended his catechism, and he was baptized. So after his baptism, then I decided to leave Salvation Army. And after his baptism, then Amelia and Alaric also got baptized. But my older boy, again, he has his own mind, so he refused to accept baptism at that time. So it's only Amelia and Alaric went ahead with the baptism. So peace was restored for a while, and my husband actually became more like a prophet, where he was able to prophesy. And that was a time where he was so filled with the Holy Spirit. He was dancing, he was singing, he was genuflecting, he was kneeling down, he was crying, he was just filled with so much of joy, so much of ecstasy, that he don't have to eat, he don't have to sleep, he only drink water, and he was singing away for 3 days and 3 nights. In fact, all of us were like, what is happening, So he was filled with all the Holy Spirit within him, and that's where a lot of conversion starts happening at home. Yeah, and that's where our faith became stronger, and the prophecy also came that Amelia would get a scholarship at that time during his prophecy, and yeah, so I left Salvation Army, and then that's how the whole transformation just evolved.
Estás hablando continuamente del Ejército de la Salvación. ¿Podrías explicar un poco a los que nos están viendo, nos están escuchando, qué es el Ejército de la Salvación?
Okay, as far as I know, Salvation Army is a Protestant organization. It's actually a non-profit organization. They break out from the Methodist group. That's as far as I know. And they started their own organization called the Salvation Army, where their main motto is heart to God, hand to man. Okay, so their main service is to serve the community. Heart to God, hand to man. Now they have their own Salvation Army officers. Their church people, they call themselves the colonel, the captain, the lieutenant, and the soldiers. So those people who attend the Salvation Army church, the church they call the Salvation Army Corps, just like the police corps, the National Cadet Corps, So that is their church. And when I was in Salvation Army, they normally do not employ Catholics to work for their organization. So I was the first one being employed by them to run a daycare and day rehab center. So when I was employed by them, I actually helped to transform a deficit center into a profit-making center. So it was a very good experience for me to be able to experience that. And in Salvation Army, we also encounter a lot of pastors from many other churches, from the Presbyterian churches, from Methodist churches, or many other secular churches. They came to minister to our elderly, and they were very good in evangelization. Yeah, they were reaching out to our elderly through storytelling, through play, through volunteer work, through giving them donations or giving them a feast, a meal or whatever. But the main thing that when these pastors, they came to our Salvation Army daycare center at that time, each time they see my crucifix, they say, "Huh, you Catholic ah? You Catholic, you cannot go to heaven." I say, "What do you mean by Catholics don't go to heaven? You pray to Mother Mary, how can you go to heaven?" So these are things that they will start commenting about Catholics, and it's so ignorant. I find that they are so ignorant. Yeah.
¿Qué opinas de las personas que se han criado en una fe católica, pero que abandonan al Señor, abandonan el camino del Señor y de la Virgen por creencias que provienen de tu país, por...
Yeah, my own son, he is now a Thai monk, a Thai Buddhist monk. Yeah, so my own son is now, I don't know why he just feel comfortable that he wants to sacrifice himself to be a monk in the temple in Thailand. And my tour guide that brought us for this 9 days tour in Spain and Portugal, he was a Catholic, he was an altar boy. And he got married to a Catholic wife, got 3 Catholic sons who are baptized, but he went to become a Thai Buddhist. So it was like, why did you do that? He said, well, I after a while, I get disillusioned by the Catholic faith, and I just find that I'm more inclined to the Buddhist, the Thai Buddhist teaching, and so now I just believe what I believe. And even though his wife is still a Catholic. So it doesn't make sense to me, but that is his belief.
Bueno, ¿y qué le dirías entonces a esta gente que deja la fe católica, que se abandona a otro tipo de culturas, como por ejemplo la de tu hijo, y que tú, sin embargo, descubriste que realmente no era aquello real, que no era verdadero, y te viniste al lado católico? ¿Qué le dirías a ese tipo de gente que abandona la fe en el Señor? ¿Qué descubriste tú?
Well, to me, when I become a Catholic, I realized that I have a lot of peace in me. Even my mom, after 65 years praying to a Taoist God, and she accepted the Lord, how long ago? Maybe about 2007. So it's about 9 years ago. And she has so much of peace in her now. And I can see the smile in her, every Sunday that she look forward to go to church, and every day she pray her rosary at the grotto, and 3 o'clock she will say her Divine Mercy, and she was just falling in love with Jesus and Mother Mary day after day after day. So there's so much of joy and so much of peace that the world cannot give. It is only when we have Jesus, we have Mother Mary in us, that we are able to have that peace in spite of all the turmoil that is around us, in spite of all the happenings, whether it's at home, at work, or in business. The peace is still there that nobody can take away. Yeah, so that is precious and that is priceless.
Vale, para ir terminando te voy a decir una serie de cosas y, bueno, intenta responderme con una frase. ¿Qué es para ti la Virgen María? ¿Quién es María para ti?
Mary is my mother. And the moment I accepted the Lord, I was baptized. I always pray to her. You teach me how to be a daughter, how to be a mother, how to be a wife, because you have been one before. So I take you as a role model. You teach me and I learn from you. So you guide me and you direct my life. Yeah. So she's a very close mother to me. Yes.
La Eucaristía.
The Eucharist is the true presence of the body and blood of Christ. That's why when I was working in Salvation Army, I was like, something is missing. They don't have the Eucharist. So when they have a new big building, an old age home with 300 old people inside there, they have an official opening. They didn't have any Eucharist, which is the center of all celebrations. So when I went to attend that, I felt that something was missing. What is it that was missing? It was actually the Eucharist. So it's so sad that they don't even have this basic center of celebration in every of their outreach. Yeah. So for me, the Eucharist is the center of my life. That's why I would never fail to go for Sunday Mass. If I can go for weekday Mass, it's a bonus for me.
Y por último, ¿quién es el Papa para los católicos de Singapur?
He is the descendant of Saint Peter, and he is the head of the Catholic Church. That he is there to hold all the responsibility in all our Catholic practices. So that's why the Catholic Church is universal, which I respect very much. Whether I'm in Singapore, I'm in Malaysia, I'm in Spain, I'm in Indonesia, we all share the same masses. It's so universal, it's so amazing.
Verónica, espero que todo este descubrimiento de la fe que se está dando en Asia sea fruto, pero para nosotros, para los que vivimos en Occidente, para que vosotros seáis ejemplo también para nosotros. Gracias.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, this is the little that I'm able to contribute.
Muchísimas gracias, Verónica. Muchísimas gracias por tu testimonio, por tu tiempo, por estar hoy aquí.
Thank you for inviting me once again.
Amigos, pues nos despedimos de Verónica, que me ha encantado lo de la puerta con un pomo en un lado y en el otro pues no hay pomo. Y esa puerta es nuestro corazón y esa puerta se abre hacia Dios y entra una bocanada de aire fresco. Mantened esa puerta abierta, mantened vuestro corazón abierto al Señor, abierto a Nuestra Señora la Virgen. Muchísimas gracias por estar hoy aquí con nosotros. Gracias.